Meeting called to order. Ms. Gutierrez is absent. No public comment. Adjourned to closed session. reconvene to open session. Mr. Hernandez will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence.
Please follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There was no action taken in closed session. Call for an adoption of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Programs and presentations. For our first presentation this evening, we have Mr. Jay Tribby and Mrs. Lorena Tribby with the District Science Fair coordinators.
Good evening. Yeah, I think so. Yes, you can hear us, right? Yeah, okay.
You're good.
We are honored to present to the Board of Trustees and Superintendent Kern the 2021 medal winners of the Riverside Virtual County Science and Engineering Fair, held on March 3rd for the first round and March 8th for the second round. This year was unique because of the technological challenges, not only for our students and teachers, but for all those who participated in the entire county. In addition, the format of the competition was different this year. For example, students who attend small schools competed with other students from small schools, and then, in the second round, students competed against all winners, regardless of school size.
And now, let's announce the winners. We start with 4th grade. And this is a group project from Margaret White. They won bronze medal in the category of engineering, electrical, mechanical, with the project name, No Electricity Grab Produce, by Heidi Hafen, Allison Minton, and Brian Minton.
5th grade, group project, Ruth Brown, silver medal, in the category of Earth Planetary Science with their project name, Clean Water Science, by Sadie Hedge and Victoria Egan.
Group project, Ruth Brown, bronze medal in the category of Health Medicine with their project name, Which Beverage Stains Your Teeth the Most, by Daniela Martinez and Jocelyn Hauregui.
Individual project, Ruth Brown, silver medal, in the category of Plant Science, with his project name, Is Planting Just for Experts, by Damien Hueso Salas. 7th grade, group project, Ruth Brown, bronze medal, in the category of Physics, with their project name, Launching, Not Passing Gas, by Ryder Nugent and Jesse Johnson.
Group project, Ruth Brown, silver medal in the category of Chemistry with the project name, Make It Clean, by Skylar Hedge and Adeline Egan. And this concludes our 2021 awards presentation. But before we conclude, I just want to show you the medals that they are getting.
Oh. And this here?
Yeah, let's remove this.
Also, participants did receive a certificate of participation and award.
Tommy. Good.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for your time. All right, for our next presentation, we have Miss April Smith with the Extra Mile Employee Recognition.
Good Good evening, board members, Ms. Kern, and community. I'm happy to be here again tonight to recognize our awesome superheroes that have gone the extra mile. Tonight, we are recognizing Jason Looper, cafeteria cook from Applebee. His superpowers are teamwork, kindness, respect, equity, service, excellence, innovation, relationships, and inclusion. We also have being recognized for going the extra mile. We have Fish, Alfredo, and Jean. They are from facilities and maintenance, and they're being recognized for going the extra mile in service and excellence. Also being recognized is Valerie Balbostro. She is a day custodian at the high school. She's recognized for going the extra mile with teamwork, kindness, respect, equity, service, excellence, innovation, relationships, and inclusion. Also being recognized for going the extra mile is Cynthia Robinson, the principal at Ruth Brown Elementary. Ms. Robinson is being recognized for going the extra mile with teamwork, kindness, respect, equity, service, excellence, innovation, relationships, and inclusion. Also at Ruth Brown, being recognized as an 8th grade teacher, Elena Navarro. Elena is being recognized for going the extra mile with teamwork. Also being recognized at Ruth Brown is Debbie Iriart, teacher at Ruth Brown, 5th grade teacher. And by the way, this is the second time Debbie's been recognized, so that's pretty exciting. Debbie's being recognized for going the extra mile with teamwork, kindness, respect, equity, service, excellence, innovation, relationships, and inclusion. Also being recognized tonight is Crystal Johnson. She is the attendance clerk at the Palo Verde High School. Crystal is being recognized for going the extra mile in teamwork, kindness, respect, service, excellence, and relationships. Also being recognized is Mary Hernandez, the school secretary at Twin Palms. Mary is being recognized for going the extra mile in teamwork, kindness, respect, service, excellence, and relationship. Also from the high school being recognized tonight is Regina Navarro. She's a librarian. She is being recognized for going the extra mile with kindness, respect, service, and excellence. Also being recognized tonight is Don Ainsworth. He works at the warehouse, storekeeper. He is being recognized for going the extra mile with teamwork, kindness, service, and excellence. They are all going to be recognized in the staff newsletter that goes out later this month, also on the radio, and also I'm working with Uriel. They should be in the paper again like we've done. He's been a great support at the paper. Also, Jim at the radio has as well. Again, I really want to thank the individuals that have submitted these names. They are the superheroes as well. They're taking the time to recognize those putting in the extra mile, and to me that's also a great superpower. So I do want to say thank you to all of them. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Right. For our next presentation, we have Mrs. April Smith on the longevity employee recognition.
Hello again. So tonight I'm excited to be here again. Tonight I have the privilege of recognizing some amazing Palo Verde Unified School District employees. This group we are recognizing tonight have worked for the Palo Verde Unified School District for 30 or more years. Their dedication they have put into the students in this district is unmatched. When reaching out to invite this group here tonight, one of them referred to this group as survivors. I thought that was funny at first, but then I thought about it. This group has survived quite a bit. Different school boards, different superintendents, different administrators, different peers, different students, different circumstances, and now a pandemic. Yet, they're still here working to be sure our students get what they need and deserve. You're truly an amazing group of people. So I'm honored to be here tonight to recognize each one of them. I'm going to start with Dolores Estrada. Dolores has worked for the school district, for the Palo Verde Unified School District for 47 years. She is currently a teacher at the Head Start, and she is one of the first people I met when I joined this district. She's always been very supportive. We appreciate your dedication to our students. Turn on this light. Thank you. Next, Linda Sanchez. Linda has worked for the school district for 42 years. She is currently a bus driver, and her dedication is obvious because She is currently taking the baseball players to a game in El Centro. We appreciate all that she does for the district. Milton, her son, will accept this on her behalf. Next, I'd like to recognize Emily Shute. Emily has worked for the school district for 39 years. She is currently a teacher at Felix J. Appleby. She almost retired last year, but she stuck around for these kids during a really tough year, and we appreciate it. However, she will be saying goodbye to us this year. We appreciate your dedication to our students. Thank you. Next up, we have Carla Phelps. Carla has worked for the district for 34 years. Carla currently works at Ruth Brown Elementary, where she teaches 3rd grade. Carla, like others, puts a lot of devotion into her job, and it's seen in her students. We appreciate your dedication to students. Next up, get confusing here, we have Lois Schaefer. Lois has worked for the school district for 34 years. Lois is currently the Director of Data Assessments and Accountability. She has also worked as a teacher and a principal. We really appreciate your dedication to the students in our district. Next, we have Beatriz Caldera. Beatriz has worked for the school district for 33 years. She is currently a bus driver. We really appreciate your devotion in getting our students to and from school every day. Thank you for being a part of their success. Next, we have Carol Wade, our next survivor. Carol has worked for our school district for 33 years. Currently, she works at Felix J. Appleby. Carol doesn't just teach. She also oversees many different programs at Appleby. We really appreciate your devotion to students in the district. Thank you. Next is Rebecca Dagnino. Unfortunately, Rebecca couldn't make it tonight. However, Rebecca has worked for our school district for 32 years. Rebecca has worked as a teacher at Margaret White for all of these years, teaching 1st grade. We appreciate Rebecca's devotion to her students in the district. Next, we have Bertha Pedrosa. Bertha was unable to make, sorry. Next up, we have Bertha Pedrosa. She also was unable to make it tonight. She has worked for the school district for 32 years. She is currently a paraeducator at Ruth Brown Elementary. We appreciate Bertha's hard work and devotion to students in the district. Next, we have Bertha Cerna. Bertha has worked for the district for 31 years. She is currently a bus driver. We really appreciate your devotion in getting our students to and from school every day. You too are a part of their success. We thank you for that. Next, we have Yolanda Bingoshea. Yolanda has worked for the school district for 31 years. She is currently a bus driver and a trainer. Yolanda works to be sure our bus drivers are trained. We appreciate you working to be sure our students are getting to and from school every day and being a big part of their success. Thank you. Great smile. Next, we have Lahoma Randall. Lahoma has worked for the school district for 30 years. She is currently a teacher at Head Start. Lahoma is also a great support for the teachers that work at Head Start. We appreciate her devotion to being sure all students at Head Start get the best education possible. Thank you, Lahoma. And last but not least, Juanita Grady. Juanita has worked for the school district for 30 years. Juanita is a senior clerk at Twin Palms, and she is a huge support there and works really hard to be sure students at Twin Palms get the best education. We really appreciate all your hard work and devotion to the students in the Palo Verde Unified School District. No, thank you. I want to let you guys know that we also have ordered each one of them a lanyard and a pin. Unfortunately, not quite here yet, so I will be delivering those to each of you once they come in. Again, thank you all for your service. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
I just want to say a little note. I added up the years, and it came up to 448 years.
How many years?
448. 48. 47. And by the way, the oldest one was my sister. That's a lot of years.
Give everybody a second here. There we go. Hey, Jesse.
Good evening, everyone. Let's see this on. Okay, so today I would like to provide an update with the current feeding model that we are providing, as well as be able to provide the plans for the remainder of this academic school year, in addition to the summer school and some plans that we had a chance to kind of identify for this upcoming school year as well. So right now, the model that we're implementing is the bulk feeding, in addition to being able to provide meals to the kids in person. When it comes to the bulk feeding, because of this opportunity, we have a chance to be able to provide 4 meals per child each day, every day of the week, in comparison where before, on average, majority of the kids that will come in person, they'll come in the cafeteria for a meal 2 to 3 times a week, and it was generally just lunch. So now, because we are incorporating the snack and supper, and that includes every day of the week, including the weekends as well as holidays, it's helping us out in terms of the overall participation of those meals that we have a chance to claim. Otherwise, those meals were solely intended for like any sort of after-school programs, tutoring, Saturday school, and everything of that matter. When it comes to bulk feeding, I have had a chance to get some feedback from the community, and originally the plan was to be able to provide key ingredients that people will otherwise purchase at a grocery store. A loaf of bread, gallon of milk, your produce, cereal, oatmeal, those kind of key staples. However, based off the feedback, it was brought to my attention that they would gravitate more towards a cohesive box. Being able to look in the box and being able to identify what they'll be able to make and make a full kind of meal. So with that being said, I was able to update the menu for the bulk feeding. And starting May 12th, I have a barbecue box that will be incorporating some items like that. I have a Fiesta box, a Fusion box, as well as a Comfort box. Those are things that I feel like could be very, very popular amongst the community. And I try to incorporate specific items that they can appeal to all sorts of dietary preferences as well. Now, transitioning into the summer school. How it stands right now, the plan is this. The goal is to provide students with a warm meal who are attending the summer school, as well as breakfast for the following day. That would be each and every day that the kids are in person. In addition to that, I also want to have a time slot where we can provide meals to the community, all children during the summer as well, for them to also have access to a hot lunch in addition to breakfast for the following day. And then something else for the upcoming school year too, depending on the cases, the total numbers and all that, if the guidelines permit, it would be a matter of being able to provide the students a hot meal in the cafeteria once they come back in person. And because we have the current waivers extended until June of 2022, it still allows us to do the bulk feeding. So the plan in regards to that is trying to push the bulk feeding in the evening. We've had a chance to do the evening bulk feeding at Appleby now for 2 weeks. Tomorrow to be the third week. And we've got a great turnout, and the feedback that we've got is incredible in terms of there's been numerous people that come inform us. This is the first time that we have a chance to get a box because of our work schedule, or in comparison to having to squeeze out and trying to get a box during my lunch break, it makes it more feasible. So with that being said, we'll be able to offer the staff an option if they would like to work extra duty overtime, be able to build the boxes and being able to offer the boxes in addition to being able to provide meals to the kids in person. Something else I do kind of want to note is because of how the guidelines are set forth on my specific department on behalf of the state, the federal level and all that, when it comes to the claims that we have a chance to get with the meals that's served, there are specific guidelines of what we can and can't spend the money and all. And the biggest thing is, since we are a nonprofit, we cannot carry forth more than 3 months of the cost of operation. That includes labor, food, everything as a whole. So this is what it's given us a great opportunity to be able to invest back in our department, being able to purchase equipment that's needed. And this upcoming, the next board meeting, I'll be able to talk about the finances and the breakdown with the projects that we have planned for this upcoming school year that could really help the department as a whole be able to improve the quality of the food options for the kids as well as for the staff as a whole. Beyond that, if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, please, and thank you so much for the help all throughout.
I just had, I'm kind of glad that you're looking toward hot meals. I mean, for a long time I've been saying, you know, we need hot meals, but I'm just curious to see, because during my term working with the district, we took out a lot of equipment out of the kitchens. Are you going to still be able to provide hot meals, or being able to get equipment to provide hot meals?
Yeah, so one of the biggest goals that I've had is to be able to equip each and every kitchen with the equipment that's necessary to provide the key ingredients that we've offered, in addition to some equipment that's more specialized, to be able to bring forth some additional options that otherwise with the equipment that we have is not an option. So the goal of mine and what I've been trying to work forward is our bakery that we have. Before it was incorporated to a small degree, my goal is because of the cooler that I was able to get forth with the grant funding, in addition to like the equipment that I am purchasing, is to make more items from scratch in-house, and then be able to provide additional options. So when the kids come forth in person, before it was a matter of there's a hot option, if they don't like it, those kids do not eat, you know, for the most part. My goal now is hopefully by the start of this upcoming school year, they'll have a hot and a cold option. So when it comes to the lines and the flow, it's quicker. Not to mention what the kids are more inclined to eat now, knowing that there's a couple options.
Thank you.
Well, I hear nothing but positive feedback about it, and I just think your new little box ideas, I think that's going to be great. I think that's going to be great for the kids and the families.
Thank you, I
So
appreciate
thank
that.
you, Jesse, for everything you've done to make this happen, everybody in your department.
Thank you.
Bring back the
I
cinnamon rolls.
second the motion. I'm impressed with
Cinnamon rolls is
the quality and the variety
yeah,
for
I
the
think
community.
I
Thank
don't
you
see
very
anything
much, I
wrong with
appreciate
it.
that.
Okay, with that being said, I have a surprise for Jesse. So we can stand here. Okay, so Jesse doesn't realize this is happening, but good evening,
Box of
board,
food.
cabinet, and community. May 7th is the annual School Lunch Hero Day, and in honor of this day, the director of No Kid Hungry California, Kathy Saley, is asking PVUSD on her behalf to present to Jesse Gutierrez and Nutrition Services team a School Meals Hero Trophy and Certificate in honor of their tireless commitment to food access and equity in our community. So thank you for your great work. All children in Blythe have access to 3 meals a day, plus a snack each day, 7 days a week, because of the work that Jesse and his team's doing. So in recognition of that, you get this award. It's the Happy School Lunch Hero Day Award.
Oh, how cool.
School Meals Hero. In addition, you get a certificate. I am a hunger hero. No kid hungry.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Very
Thanks
good.
for all your good work, Jesse.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jesse. For our hearing session, we have nobody for the hearing session this evening. Reports and communications, board member reports. Diana?
I would just like to take this opportunity to thank the teachers. I know that today is National Teacher Appreciation Day, even though the whole week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. But I would like to thank the teachers for all of the hard work that they have put in, for everything that they've done for our students. I know this past year has not been anything easy for them. Having to work with students not only in class but also, at home via Zoom. So thank you, teachers, for all of your dedication and your hard work.
Mr. Hernandez?
I too want to thank all the teachers. Diana just said everything I was going to say, so I just ditto to everything.
I'd second what Diana said, and I've been in this over 55 years, and I got to tell you, this is the most difficult year that I've seen in education in over a half a century. And hats off to the teachers, and congratulations, and thank you for all the good work that they've done and are putting up with. Thank you.
And I would just agree with what Diana said also, so thank you to everyone. All right, superintendent's report.
Just want to concur, happy National Teachers Appreciation Day today, and we really appreciate all of our teachers and all their extra efforts, especially during this year under a pandemic. They went above and beyond, and they're our superheroes, so just wanted to acknowledge our teachers.
All right, Mr. Sanchez with the fiscal update report.
Good evening, board, superintendent, and community. I'm going to let the acknowledged train continue. I want to highlight the fact that last Tuesday, was School Bus Driver Appreciation Day in California, and I just want to acknowledge all of the hard work and dedication that our bus drivers put in each day to get our kids safely to and from school. And then this week is also School Nutrition Employees Week, and tomorrow we will be celebrating our nutrition teams, again, also for their hard work and dedication. And not to take away the efforts of anybody, but I am particularly proud of both of these groups because since the start of the pandemic, they were called into action, delivering food, keeping food, on the kids' tables, and the work has not stopped. And there's been blood, there's been sweat, there's been tears, but we're still here, we're still doing the good work. And so I appreciate all of their perseverance and just wanted to acknowledge those efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We have nobody for reports of associations. Moving on to consent items. Items listed under the consent calendar motions are considered to be routine and are acted on by the governing board in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board requests specific items be discussed and/or removed from the consent agenda. It is understood that administration recommends approval of all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the governing board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. L1 personnel report shall be voted on as a separate item. Can I call for a motion on L1 personnel report?
So moved. Accept it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Call for a motion on items L2 through L11.
So
Moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Action items. M1, approval of PVHS CTE Ag Barn Change Order Proposal 251-30. Call for a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll second
We
it.
approve it.
Question or comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M2, approval of agreement with Dr. Tien Vo for immunization and vaccination services.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? M3, approval declaration of need for fully qualified educators 2021-2022.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M4, approval annual statement of need, CBEST waiver for 30-day substitute teaching permits.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? M5, approval of 2021-2022 Palo Verde Head Start refunding application. Call for a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments?
Comment? I was looking at this, and I just want the community that maybe is watching on Zoom, that we're providing for the Head Start program for the little students and the little people in our community, $1.5 million worth of services for those little guys before they get to kindergarten. And I think that's amazing that we provide that. We do it year after year. Congratulations to Lahoma and her group.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
All right.
call for the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? M6, approval Palo Verde Head Start 2020-2021 contract modification for sub-grant agreement number C1007790.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M7, approval of the 3-year quote from Renaissance Learning for Schoolzilla professional subscription.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? M8, approval and adoption textbook for cybersecurity classes at Palo Verde High School. Call for a motion?
So moved.
Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and information items. N1, discussion graduation promotion plan for 2021.
Okay.
Is it? I'm not sure.
Come on up, principals.
Which one's coming up?
Good evening. So for Palo Verde High School and Twin Palms Continuation School, we wanted to kind of go over with you guys, discuss the options that we have right now and what's in the works for our plans. So we have 2 different plans we're working on at this moment. If we're in purple tier, the most restrictive tier, that week of graduation, which highly unlikely, but if we are, our plan is that we're going to be doing a drive-through parade graduation similar to what we did last year, because we'll be in the most restrictive. We are wanting it to be live streamed. We will have pictures taken, but the only difference between this option and the other option as far as the parade is concerned, I submitted 2 requests to the city. I haven't been given approval yet, but I submitted 2 different ones for the parade. If we have to do the drive-through parade, it will be later in the evening, and it will only include Palo Verde High School students because the parade will come into the high school for our actual drive-through graduation. If we're in any other tier under purple, we are planning a formal ceremony at the stadium for the high school and for Twin Palms, correct? Yes, correct. But only 2 adult guests per student are going to be allowed, following the CDPH guidelines for our outdoor events. We are also planning a parade But in this parade that we've submitted the paperwork to the city, we're going to start earlier in the day to have the parade a little bit earlier. We're going to include Twin Palms students as well, graduates. So it'll be a parade that will include both schools through town. This has been requested by students, community members to have a parade as well. And at the graduation ceremony itself, that will be a formal ceremony at the stadium with 2 parents or 2 adult guests per graduate. I surveyed my students at the high school. I wanted to do a survey of the students, the senior class, to find out what they wanted, because I was getting some input from parents and community members that were just wanting a drive-through graduation. But I wanted to make sure we were doing what the students were wanting and what we can do according to the guidelines. And the majority of my students, 80% of the senior class that I had surveyed, want a formal graduation, knowing that it's only going to be 2 guests per kid. So that was definitely the biggest request, is they want a formal ceremony. We are planning on live streaming the event as well, and having a slideshow of pictures that we would do normally at our graduation. If for whatever reason we have to do the purple tier option, and it's just a drive-through graduation, we will have a full virtual graduation slideshow developed for that separate. So we've got a lot of things in the works and going. We just wanted to come to you guys and get some input from the board and direction and from you guys as well. And I'll let Judy talk about Twin Palms for a bit.
Well, with Twin Palms, we're looking at doing it on Thursday, on the 3rd of June. And right now, if we go with the red, orange, yellow, we'll be also doing a live graduation ceremony with the same restrictions as her, 2 adult guests per graduate. We'll live stream it, and we'll also have a slideshow and pictures for the kids. So we're kind of going back to what we have always done. It's just that we're going to have to restrict it to two people per child.
I've heard any parent that I have talked to has been excited about the possibility of having an actual graduation. So all the feedback I've received has been, they've been very excited about that possibility if we stay in the correct tiers, about actually getting to go watch the students graduate. Even though it's 2 people, the live stream has kind of, made it a little easier to handle. So.
And whose permission do we need to receive in order to have the traditional?
I think as long as we're right within our numbers, we're fine to move forward with
But
that.
we're not waiting for state approval or county approval or anything else.
It all depends on the tier we're in.
It depends on what?
The tier.
Oh, the tier. Okay,
system
yeah.
we're in.
Yep.
Again, only if we're in purple. If we're in the least restricted, the most restrictive one, which is the purple one, we would just do a drive-through parade like we did last year. Again, that's probably highly unlikely that we'll be there, and so our main goal is to go towards a formal ceremony, which it falls within the guidelines of the CDPH guidelines and the Riverside County guidelines as well. It's just that there's some restrictions on it with the amount of people that can attend and things like that, and having distance, safe, keeping the kids 6 feet apart, and for seating, and the stage, and there's a lot of little components that are so, all involved in the planning.
They've given us the guidance for every one of the tiers, and so if purple, we got to do this way. For the less restrictive, we have these options.
How does the board feel? Everybody's
I'm
okay with us
good.
moving forward with the plans
I'm
as
good.
is?
That
Based on
sounds
the
good.
tiers?
They've waited too long.
It's a month
So-
away for the high school graduation for PB. We're June 4th. I do have parents that are calling and have been asking, and my staff has been giving them the 2 options, that this is kind of the 2 areas we're going in. There will be a ceremony of some sort. There will be
Right.
something to acknowledge our students. I know at PB, just so that the board is aware, there's a parent group that's planning the baccalaureate ceremony. They already kind of had it in the works and planned before I could even really address it because of all the restrictions we had in place. And we decided, as a team, when I spoke with the superintendent, we're going to go ahead and just let them do their thing because they already pretty much had it all planned out. And if we had it, there was way more restrictions attached to it. And I think the way that they're going to do it will be a little more meaningful for those families and students. And that one is a more, formal type, meaningful ceremony as far as baccalaureate is concerned. I will be introducing our top student that is being recognized by Riverside County at the next board meeting. On May 26th, I also am doing something for the senior class because we at the they get stoles like for NHS, their honor cords, those types of things. And we have a couple of things that are a special surprise for our seniors. So we're going to be celebrating them on May 26th, but that's only going to be drive-through. So we have to do like a drive-through thing for them to be able to get those items. So we do have a lot of different things in the works. I am not sending out my information to parents until I have what parade we can do. And, knowing that the parade part is approved. And once that's done, Mrs. Browder and I will be notifying our families, sending out a letter, posting it, sending out the information so they know what is coming forward and what we're doing.
And the purpose of the parade, if we have the formal graduation, the purpose of the parade is so that everyone that is not able to attend and participate in the ceremony will be able to participate in that.
Yes. It's to allow our community members to participate and celebrate the graduates because they're not going to be able to be at the stadium to do that.
And we got really good feedback last year, and
Yeah.
they wanted.
Yeah, it was a
they
huge
wanted to
success
continue
last
on
year.
with it,
So
yeah.
I
that's good.
remember.
The location of the baccalaureate?
From what I've been told is at Calvary
Calvary
Chapel.
Chapel.
They're going to be holding it there. And they have a lot of different
Pastors
churches
and
and stuff
ministers involved.
I don't have all the information because it's not being planned by the school, and we have to keep ourselves separate for liability reasons. But I have parents who have been informing me of some of the plans,
Right.
which has been nice. They've been keeping me updated on it.
Okay.
Any other questions on graduation?
Lois, how close are the numbers between the purple and the,
We're far. Purple is over 25 now, is that right? And we're 3.4.
no, say that,
3.4.
okay.
So we have a ways to go. I really doubt, like she said, that we'll be in purple in the next month. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we were yellow by then.
It's just a contingency plan.
Yeah, we have to
Good.
have a backup. We want to be prepared.
That's
Yes.
good, sounds good.
If last year taught us anything, it was to be prepared.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Now we have our elementary principals.
Good evening, board members and superintendent cabinet and everyone here. We have worked a lot together to put together a plan that is going to meet the needs of our students and our families. We have talked to our staff as well, and we have been working with our superintendent. We felt that for the elementary sites, drive-through event would be better because our students want to bring their family members, and in a drive-through event, they could bring, their family with them in the car. So what we have planned is basically to have a promotion, a drive-through promotion at each one of our sites on June 2nd from 7 to 8. And every student is going to get a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a yard sign, kind of like what they had last year. And we have been working together to make sure that all students basically have the same thing, so they go to the high school still as a class of 2025, even though their promotion is going to be a little bit different this year. I don't know if you guys want to add anything else?
Sounds good.
I don't know if you
And
have any
all, the key component is all three elementaries will be doing the exact same thing. So
Okay.
everything will be exactly
Great.
the same.
And once we get your blessing to continue with our plans, we are going to go ahead and start informing our families tomorrow of all the details because even though we're doing things the same, each school is different on the layout and how the drive-through is going to take place as far as a map and things like that, more details. We're going to start sharing that information with the families tomorrow.
All right, any other comments or? No, I think it's great. Thank you, all of you, for all your work in trying to plan this. Wonderful. All right, now we have our PVUSD fiscal health report or risk analysis update.
Good evening again, board, superintendent, community. About maybe a little over a year ago, give or take, FICMAT, I believe it was via phone, I think we were in COVID already, issued a fiscal health risk analysis and then also presented the findings to the board. And I just wanted to come and kind of give you guys a progress update as to where we are roughly a year later. This was a self-analysis, so it's, just us looking at ourselves and kind of assessing, the progress that we've made or haven't made in some cases. and trying to assign, you know, a rating, I guess, of some sort as to the progress that we've made. So as far as the objectives go, I want to quickly review the summary of report findings, some of the kind of the highlight or the key points. I will briefly discuss each of the indicator, there were 20, and provide progress updates. And then at the end, I'll take any questions and comments. And of course, if you have any along the way, feel free to ask. So the report conclusions, we had a risk score of 45.1%. And based on their key, I guess, a high-risk district would be 40% or more, moderate risk 25 to 39, and low risk was 24% and lower. So given that our score was 45.1%, we are considered a high-risk district. And some of the characteristics of the district that kind of lend itself to that score were declining enrollment, diminishing reserves. We had audit findings in 18-19, contributions to restricted programs, cash flow projections, concerns with those. The debt at the time was 3.5% of our general fund expenditures. And then they also expressed some concerns with our oversight procedures for the charter school. So going into the analysis by category, number one was the annual audit. So the first column is, you know, what the activity is. The second column is the status at the time of the report. And then the third column is kind of our comments on, you know, where we've gone, I guess. And so there were 5 indicators in number one. 3 of them were a concern to FICMAT, but I feel reasonably confident that those have all been corrected. We have no audit findings in 1920. We're continuing to meet the deadlines. Again, no findings, all findings so far corrected, and then we will continue with the same firm in the 2021 budget year. I would like to think that we won't have any more audit findings. You know, it's hard to tell the future, but we are doing everything that we possibly can to, you know, make sure that we have controls in place and we're just doing everything the right way. The next section was budget development or budget adoption, and we were pretty much red across the board in this category. So in the first one, I've kind of transitioned us to orange in that I'm not going to say that we've arrived, but I do feel like the financial reports have budget assumptions. For me, this is just a tool I'm getting kind of more familiar with, kind of honing the skill. As I was telling Tracy, you know, I'm not sure you ever arrive in your ability to forecast, you know, what the budget's going to be, but you know, I'm hoping that with each successive year that, you know, we get closer and closer to the target. And then everything else that was an issue was implemented either shortly thereafter or in 2021. So we're not just rolling over the budget necessarily. Like even today, we had conversations about staffing, you know, numbers, where we're gonna, if we're adding positions, where are we getting the budget for that? So it's a lot more collaborative. We are looking at position control data. We just cleaned up positions like 2 weeks ago, working in conjunction with the personnel office. The local control funding formula, again, that was just boiling down to being able to use the tool. No findings at the last audit, so that's fine. We had a unconditional approved budget this year, and we are also getting far more input on the development of the budget. We haven't gone as far as to a budget advisory committee. I think we might need that if, you know, we were ever in a position where we had to identify cuts and whatnot, but we are definitely taking a more collaborative approach to the development of the budget. This is kind of a continuing. So the first one is we do look to spend our restricted funds before unrestricted funds. A lot of those we were already in a good place, and we've just kind of kept those practices ongoing. The one that we did have trouble with is at the bottom. Adhering to a budget calendar that had statutory due dates, major budget development tasks, and the staff member responsible for developing them. I left this one as developing because I still feel like there's some work to do. The first couple years, I developed a lot of the budget by myself, and last year was, at least in my case, we started working with departments, and once we had the staffing in place, that's kind of fixed. Then we sought more feedback from them with, you know, where the rest of the resources should go for the budget. And I intend to continue doing that this year, meeting with either department heads or assistants who are familiar with the resources to help develop the budget that best meets the needs of the students. So I'm hoping within probably the next budget season to have that as something that is firmly, planted in the green and hopefully never look back. It's hard to see what this one is. That was 2, so this is 3. 3 is budget monitoring and updates. We had 3 areas that FCMAT was concerned with at the time of the visit. The first one, and I left them in either a development or still kind of in a challenge stage because just honestly, that's where we are. So for example, the first one up top is actual revenues and expenses consistent with the most current budget. This presents a bit of a challenge because you have to budget every restricted dollar, whether you intend to spend it or not. And so, I'm saying we're going to spend, $1 million in Title I, and in reality, when the year ends, we may have only spent, $750. And so it's hard when dealing with the restricted dollars to meet those expectations all the time. Working at it, certainly. We've had far more meetings this year, I feel like, and those conversations to get the restricted dollars spent down. So I feel very positive and optimistic about that, but still definitely a work in progress. The next one was relating to the budget assumptions. And again, some of these are crossing over into like the previous ones. This again is just, as far as like my development goes, just getting more familiar with the tools. Better identifying, like, what I would put in the MYPs in previous years would be kind of general, and I'm working to be more specific and better identifying, what we're reducing or adding to the budget, and so that's kind of the challenge for me there, but I do feel like I'm developing the lens and becoming more proficient at it. And then the same thing is there, like with the variances and criterion standards, that's part of the like interim reports. It really just boils down to explanations, and I just need to get, I guess, better refined at how I explain certain things within the budget reports. The fourth one was cash management. We had 3 concerns at the time, and I've actually shifted one thing to a concern, and it's not a huge thing. Let me start with the top one. So the bank accounts, cash and investment accounts are reconciled monthly, which we do. The issue of why I have a concern, and I just haven't had a chance to dig into it, there's one particular account, it's like $16,000, like a revolving cash account. It's the person in my office who's kind of responsible for reconciling it. She approached me about a month ago and is having trouble reconciling about $700 of it. So it's not huge in the grand scheme of things, but it should always reconcile back to $16,000. So I have to dig into that one and probably go several months back and see where they got off. But I just wanted to disclose that, that is a concern of mine for this year. Again, $700 in the grand scheme of things is not, a big deal, but nevertheless, we do want to reconcile, so that is a big deal. The cash receipts, forecasting 18 months out, we've implemented that this year. The budget analyst was a huge support with this. All 3 of them, actually. She's been instrumental in making sure that our cash flow projections are tighter, more in line with the guidance that we're getting from RCOE or FCMAT or whomever, in terms of, like, for example, we were getting deferrals this year in our LCFF, making sure that those were incorporated into the cash flow report. The cash flow is kind of like a crystal ball also, and the more proficient that we get with budget development and cash flow monitoring, the better, I think the clearer we will see the future clearer. But we've been real consistent with the cash flow this year. It helped us avoid the TRAN. There are other districts that ran into those issues, so I'm super proud of the work and I'm going to give Sylvia a lot of credit on this one for moving us forward in this area. Charter schools, the only real issue we had with charter schools was evidence of us kind of showing our oversight responsibility. And again, I just put developing because I feel like there's work to do, but this year we've been really, really consistent with meeting the charter school every month. Tracy leads the meeting, April and I and Edward are in there, and we each, I discuss the business piece, April discusses the HR piece, Edward with the SPED piece. And, out of those conversations, they become their own SELPA. So there's real progress that, we can illustrate that I feel like has come out of those oversight activities. So I just don't think we're quite there. I just, another year of maybe consistency and just us getting better at it, I would think we would be able to change that to green. But for right now, I left it because I just feel like there's still some work to do. But everywhere else, we've maintained the progress that we had. We didn't lose any ground there. 6 is the collective bargaining agreements. I've moved an X or green to a orange. We have one unit that we're still pending settlement with this year. That's kind of the same thing on the second one there. This is another one that's kind of crossing over from previous ones. I am getting better with the multi-year projections, getting better with identifying, costs and reductions and things like that, and that just has to do with that. The pre-settlement analysis, I put developing. What it's saying is, did we kind of foresee what the implications of the agreement are? And I do feel like we do a good job about that. We're real collaborative, and each of us provide our input. But one of the things I felt like we could grow this year is, so we all look at it, and we're all discussing what the deal is and what the implications are. But in our blind spot are our Jennifers, our Sandras, our Chris's, who kind of know what the next steps of that deal would be. So I feel like, before we go into any labor agreements in the future, after we've analyzed it at cabinet level, I think we want to take it down to our support teams to make sure that the agreement is not going to have some implication that we didn't see. So it's really just about that. Just making sure that, we're doing our due diligence completely to make sure there are no unintended consequences. The same thing with the COLA. So I moved it from green to orange. The idea is that we won't enter into any labor agreements that exceed our annual COLA. And I feel like we get maybe a little north of that. And so it would be nice to see us with maybe a little bit more discipline and trying to hold the units to offering them only what the district has been offered. If our COLA is 3%, then that should be what our deals at the most would equal to. And it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes our COLA might have been 3%, but we gave 3.5 out. So until I think we have good solid discipline there, I just left that as developing as well. Everything else I feel like is in pretty good shape. If there's anything specific you guys have questions on that move from a red to a green or vice versa, feel free to, ask at the end, or you can see me any other day. I'm happy to dig in a little more. Contributions and transfers. Really, I guess the biggie is the contributions. I do feel like for 21-22 are pretty reasonable. We've been able to find ways to transfer costs to other resources. Matter of fact, in every year I've been here, whenever we get to an interim, I seem to be increasing the contributions for some of our programs, like special ed, in particular special ed. This year, and it could just be the windfall of other monies coming into us, I was actually able to reduce the contribution at an interim report, and that hardly ever happens. So I feel like we're making some progress there. Deficit spending. We are avoiding deficit spending in the current year, but that's fluid. That can change like at any moment. So I just kind of want to highlight that 1 minute you're not deficit spending, the next minute something happens, and boom, we're right back to it. And then has the district decreased deficit spending over the past 2 years? I feel like, yeah, we've made significant progress, but if you go out to year 2 and year 3, even though we will make our projections, we can pay all of our bills, all that good stuff, we are still deficit spending in the out years. and it's not the end of the world for us. It's just that every year when a budget season ends, we want to make sure that we're analyzing the costs, analyzing expenditures, and at least trying to rein in the deficit spending in the out years. But this is a hard one to overcome. The personnel costs always increasing. There's just a lot to that one. Employee benefits, that was all in pretty good shape, and I feel like we've just kind of held that progress. I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. What number was that? So this is 10. Yeah, so enrollment and attendance. I left the top one in red because we still project enrollment declines. That's just the reality of Palo Verde Unified, but I did move 2 reds to green. And again, I feel like when we talk about the being able to see the future and the crystal ball, I feel like our attendance projections have gotten much tighter and better, so I moved that one over. And then we've made great effort, in particular Lois and I, with the CalPADS data to make sure that we work with like special ed and we work with nutrition and our EL stakeholders to make sure that the numbers that we are reporting are accurate. And that's basically what that had to do with is if it goes back to some of the audit findings, we would count like 9 kids more than we had for free and reduced lunch, for example. Lois, where am I? I can't see. That's facilities. All right, so facilities. We were in pretty good shape to begin with on the facilities. We had a couple deficiencies there. Moving the first red to orange. This one has to do with like the capacity of like the district has a capacity for X amount of students and programs. We are under capacity is basically what it's saying. It's saying that we're using buildings, we're underutilizing buildings. For example, last year, this place was empty, minus a few classrooms at the JROTC level, and really it was just JROTC. So it's things like that. When you look at Twin Palms, it's a college campus with a number of rooms. Twin Palms takes up like 4 or 5 classrooms. So that campus is also underutilized. So that's what they're saying there. I feel like it's developing because we were able to move over here, better utilize this space. We have the same kind of intention for Twin Palms, although it's going to create a void here. But it really goes back to, maximizing the benefit of our space, but being the most efficient as possible. Not running classrooms empty and having the air on and those kinds of things. So I feel like there's been progress, but again, that's one that we're developing. And then the last one is the long-range facilities master plan. And as discussed at the prior board meeting, we intend to bring in July of 21 a 5-year plan that hopefully the board will approve, and then we will take care of that deficiency. 12. All right. Fund balance and reserve for economic uncertainty. We had 4 deficiencies. I moved 3 of them to green and then left 1 orange just because I feel like there's just constant monitoring there. So last time we didn't have the reserves for the 2 out years. We do now. The district is not made. So I made it green because at this point, we don't need a board approved plan to restore the reserve. We were able to, the board paid off the debt. There were actions that we took over the course of the last year that just kind of took care of that. And then as far as our projected unrestricted balance, that one is going to be a fluid thing. We always are going to want to watch that. Like I said, anything can change the picture almost at any time. So I don't want to get too confident with that one. As I give you guys the financial reports every few months, hopefully I'll keep you as up to date as possible with how we're doing with the reserves. And then lastly, unfunded liabilities or one-time costs. If we have, let me see what's it saying. So yes, so the point of this is that if it's earmarking the reserve for obligations, and when FCMAT came around, we didn't have that in place. Now we do. We've identified the potential $500,000 we might owe the OPSC. We have the set-asides for scales. So we've identified things in the reserve to protect it, and make sure that we don't ignore those obligations. So that's 12. 13, general fund. Most areas of the general fund were pretty good last year when they came around. I moved one to developing, and it's kind of just a caveat to watch our salary costs. What it essentially is saying is that our salary and benefits costs are at or below the statewide average for the 2 prior years, and we were good. But it's something that I want us to not get comfortable with, so I made it orange just so it stays on our radar to keep an eye on our personnel costs. Using restricted dollars, fully expending the programs within the required time. Again, we know we are to spend the restricted dollars first. We absolutely do everything we can to expend the restricted dollars first, but they still represent a challenge. There are sometimes the strings, they have strings to them. There's very narrow ways you can use the money, and so because of that, I've left that at orange until we get more proficient in that area. And then lastly, we had a red for indirect costs. So what this one is saying is that FCMAT's philosophy is that we should charge indirect costs to every program. And indirect costs are just like the admin costs, like that you kind of don't see. And we're given a rate by the state. It's like this year, I think it was like 4.5%. So we can charge 4.5% to every single allowable resource. We can charge 4.5% of their expenditures. Now, there's 2 schools of thought on this one. One, let's take special ed, for example. I'm going to pick on them again. Special ed usually results in us doing a contribution. They don't give us enough money to run the program. So why would I charge indirect costs to their program and then turn around and have to just increase the contribution? The other school of thought is, and this is FCMAT's school of thought, is you do it because you capture the real true cost of the program. Even though you end up having to increase your contribution, at least you've captured what the real cost is. So when we close the books, we really only book indirect costs at the end of the year. And it is our goal when we close this summer to make sure that we charge the applicable indirect cost to all programs, whether we have to contribute more or not. So that's what that one's kind of about. 15, 14, not a lot here. This has to do with information systems and data management. That red one goes back to the audit finding where we were miscounting the free and reduced students. We've implemented that. We have no more findings, so this area is pretty good. 15, internal controls and fraud prevention. Pretty good up at the top. The one that says all marked yes except for ASB, that one has to do with segregation of duties, things like that. They had some concerns with ASB, but and again, they also previously had audit findings, and theirs related mostly to scholarships. The big issue with ASB is that they were taking scholarship funds and then writing the scholarship directly to the student's name, like to the student, and you cannot do that. You have to send the scholarship to the school. The school applies it to the student's account, and then if there's money left over, that college will disperse the leftover funds to the student. Well, for a number of years, the high school was just writing the checks to the students. And so they had findings for that. We've cleared all of that. Last audit, no findings, not even for ASB. But I just left it orange just to highlight that there was an issue there previously. Prior year accruals, we're working on that. That's another area where I kind of have Sylvia supporting. It is the expectation that you will clear your accruals by first interim. That did not happen this year. Matter of fact, we are still working on them. But I expect significant progress in the coming year. It's one of the things that I've kind of, out of all of this, am prioritizing because it affects our real bottom line. So that one's one that is important to me, and I expect to make, like I said, some real progress in the next few months on that one. Suspense accounts, same thing. We do them. We reconcile the suspense accounts. I just feel like we could do a little bit more regularly. So that's kind of why I left that one developing. The last few, I will be honest, I have work to do. I don't have like a fraud hotline. Even would probably have to look into this. It's not something, honestly, that was even on my radar until I pulled this report back out again. But this is another one that I will be working on rather diligently over the next couple of months, and it ultimately has to do with just putting procedures in place so that if anyone suspects any kind of fraud in the district, that they have a safe place to go and report that. So we'll work on that. Leadership and stability was all, for the most part, pretty good. They had a concern about training, governance training, budget training for the board members, but as I understand it, the board members are pretty regularly trained these days. Yeah, so we've changed that one to implemented rather. And I did change one to orange. And if I were being honest with ourselves, I feel like the school site administrators could probably benefit from some financial training, you know, interacting with their financial system, the different resources and things like that. So that's another thing I'm going to challenge us to do in 21-22. They had it as green, but knowing what I know, I don't know that I quite agree with it. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to support the principals and support their development and get them a little bit more proficient with items related to budget. The multi-year projections at the time of the report were a mixed bag. We were 2 for 4, excuse me, on that one. And again, this is just a reoccurring theme. It's the clearness of your crystal ball. So I feel like, again, I've gotten more proficient at the budget assumptions. I've gotten more proficient at identifying what they are, what the value of them are. So I've considered it implemented, but will disclose that I am still developing that skill. Same thing with the bottom one. And again, it just relates to the same thing. It's the multi-year projection tool. It's the assumptions that you put in. It's the values that you assign to them. I feel like I've made pretty good growth, getting more familiar with the tool, but I'm still developing. 18 is non-voter approved debt and risk management. We had 2 deficiencies at the time of the report, and it had to do with the sources for which we were paying the non-voter approved debt, like our COPs basically, and our capital leases. FCMAT would like to see you pay that debt from something besides the general fund. We were paying it from the general fund, so that was a deficiency for us. Again, the great work that we all did last year, the board in particular, with the decision making, we were able to get that debt off of the books of the general fund, and so that's been corrected in 2021. And then the last one, at the time that FCMAT came, our debt payments were more than 2% of the general fund, so they gave us a deficiency. That was resolved in 2021, so we're all good there. Position control was entirely deficient when FCMAT came around last year. And I've moved most of them to resolved or implemented, and then I still left a couple with developing. I'll focus mostly just on the developing ones. So one of the ones, it says, does the governing board approve all new positions and extra assignments, e.g. stipends, before positions are posted? I know we are not 100% on that. We're pretty good with positions, like we don't typically bring on positions without first informing the board, but stipend activities, you know, things that kind of pop up, sometimes do come to the board after the fact. So if there were anywhere on here that we would want to develop and improve, that would be one. You know, maybe just forecasting out a little bit better and getting things to the board in a more timely manner. And then the last one is, do we meet regularly to discuss payroll, budget functions, things like that? We meet. I could say that we could grow there, do something a little bit more deliberate and more regular. Like April and I chat a lot as far as like business and human resources, but I think bringing our teams together and having team meetings and team conversations, we could do definitely more frequently. And so that's why I left that one as developing. And this is the last one. I appreciate your patience, is special education. And our special education indicators were pretty good except for one. And it again had to do with just accounting for all the costs, transportation, due process hearing, things like that. And I feel like we have made some good ground there. I work pretty collaboratively with Edward. He keeps me up to date if you know, someone's changing a program, or hey, we're gonna need another speech, or he's real diligent about keeping me up to date with the changes that are in special ed. And then everything else, as far as that goes, we just did our best to hold the line. And those are the 20 indicators and what I kind of perceive as the progress that we've made. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
I'd just like to thank you for all the time that you put into this. This was actually a really nice format for reviewing
Thank you, I
FICMAC.
appreciate that.
It really was, compared to what you were given initially, this is a great way to
Okay.
look at it.
Yeah,
So
and
thank
it
you
gives
so
us something,
much
I
for the
think, to
time.
work from going forward.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I think the idea is to probably come back within the next quarter or so, maybe half a year, something like that. I was talking to Tracy a little earlier about how often we would review, but this is, I feel like a good starting point.
This is
Yeah.
great, so
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. N3, first reading and discussion, textbook for journalism course at Palo Verde High School. Comments? All right. Any other business?
I just had one. I spoke to Palo Verde College board member, and they said they had passed what we used to call 2+2 committee. Have you heard anything about that? That they wanted us to participate in that 2+2+2? Which in the past was 2 board members from the college, the district, and the city council get together and see how